Amazing to have you here. So I'll just quickly introduce you, and without wasting our time, we'll get right into the meat of today's session. Okay, all right. So Gabriel is a speaker, is a workshop facilitator, and L&D leader. He He's known for cultivating high performance teams using a blend of content, tech, and people. He's armed with a degree in industrial mathematics. Oh, that's powerful. Industrial mathematics, and and that's from a leading African University of Technology. Gabriel found his passion in crafting solutions for human capital development and not just solving equations. He coaches individuals, he consults for companies and organizations, and he speaks regularly at conferences around the nation on subjects that empower human capital and drive personal development. So, Gabriel is not just shaping minds. When he's not shaping minds, he often finds himself playing an exhilarating game of soccer or passionately watching one. I can imagine what that is about. So let's one more time give a very warm welcome to Gabriel as it takes us on this journey. Welcome over to you, Gabriel.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here. I think I'm trying to get one or two things sorted out with my lightning.
Okay,
But
okay, okay.
if you can
So
see me clearly, I'm good.
yeah, we can
That's
see you clearly. Do
all
you need
right.
a
That makes
minute?
sense. No, I'm fine. If
Okay,
you guys
great.
can see me clearly,
All
that's
right then.
that's perfect.
We can see you
All
clearly
right.
and we can hear you perfectly as well.
Awesome. Uh,
All right.
I'm requesting to share my screen
Yeah,
so
you can do that.
we can get
So
so we
you
can
can
get
try it
started.
now. You've been, oh, great. You can see it now.
Um, I'm live, right?
Yes, you're live. We can see you clearly.
Awesome.
We can see your slides as well.
Excellent. All right. So today, it's been a while. The exciting part about today's session is there's so many things that I have been studying in the last couple of days, and it felt very nice that I have an opportunity to share many of those things that I have studied. Right. So today I'm going to talk to you and everybody else about some of the things that I have learned in my journey. Most of them I have experienced, some of them I have heard in passing, many of them I'm still practicing, but all of them I do believe that are true. Before I continue, I also want to say thank you to Dr. Oyin for the opportunity to share my knowledge with your audience. Dr. Oyin said that I should come talk on effective strategies for adopting L&D solutions. And as I perused on the topic, I figured out that there is a need to understand how to design learning for corporates and organizations, and beyond just design learning, but digital learning, because we cannot argue that that is the direction of the world. So a big thank you to the e-learning and instructional designer for the invitation. I like to begin my sessions by saying that you cannot learn new things if your glass is already full. So if you came into the session with your glass full or with your mind as, oh, what's there about digital learning that I have not learned? Or what do you want to tell me about L&D solutions that I don't know? I am happy to say that this session is not for you, because it will be very difficult for you to learn anything if your glass is full. So I would indulge you. I would ask rather that you pour a little bit away from your full glass so that you can take in more water. In 60 minutes, my goal is to shape your thinking and create some experience and to challenge your mind to rethink how we should approach learning design for corporate organizations or for any of your clients, particularly using digital tools. I will begin with the question, how can a function, so it's rhetorical, you don't need to answer, I would answer, but how can a function whose role, this is where it gets interesting, give me a second. Right? So how can a function whose role is to support individual and team performance, how is it possible that an organization whose role is to support, I like to call it human and business performance, alongside build capacity for such businesses to not be aligned with the business? It is because many L&D functions today have mastered how to focus on learning needs and learning outcomes and learning objectives and many of those cool things that we have called it, instead of focusing on helping the business generate results and meet their goals. The number one reason why anybody whatsoever wants to learn at work is so that they can do their jobs better and faster. I will tell you this for free. Nobody gives a hoot about the instructional design model you use to create your course. Nobody cares if the course was made flying through the 7 seas. The only reason why people want to learn at work or learn online at work is so that they can do their jobs better and faster. I'm struggling a bit because this is a new tool for me. So I'm trying to see, because I can only see my slides, I can't see us. So give me a sec. Okay. Because I like to listen to comments as I teach, but apparently I don't think I can do that with this portal. So let me just go back to my slides. Right.
Look at the chat on the left side where you have your mic, video, and all. If you click on chat, the chat box would open up, and then you'll be able to see what people are typing. If you want us to use the chat, can you see?
Because it's also very nice to get feedback as I teach, because again, my job is to facilitate knowledge. And not just to.
Can you see the chat now?
Yeah, I can actually see the chat.
Okay,
I just cannot move my slides as I share the screen.
Oh, you should be able to.
I mean, it's fine. I would always come back and check in. Not a problem.
All right then.
Like I said, the only reason why people want to learn at work is so that they can do their jobs better and faster. Which means that as L&D professionals, you are hired to make work friction-free. If you've been following me on LinkedIn for a while, I have been making this noise consistently that L&D professionals are not hired to do trainings. You're not hired to build learning programs. You're not hired to do any of those cool things that we've beaten around the bush over the years for. No. You are hired to make work as friction-free as possible. And when you are focused on freeing friction, you would solve problem in the context of the work, allowing the businesses you serve achieve their desired results. And what do I mean? If your focus every day at the office is, how can I reduce the stress that my sales teams go through to sell a product? How can I help my customer support team retain their customers faster? How can I help the product team create the right product? How can I help the organization stay true to its values? If that is what you think about every day, you will do your work a lot better than someone who is thinking about just learning needs. Oh, you guys are working on this. Okay, what do you need to know to learn? No. So the first thing I want to introduce to us today is we need to start thinking as business owners. Because think about it, if an employee is not doing well, they don't go to the line manager. Maybe they go to the line manager and ask, what's the matter? Every time an employee is underperforming, who do they go to? The learning and development team. They don't go to human resource, except the human resource still owns the learning and development team in some organization. But in the organization I work, we are totally different from each other. We are cousins, but HR do not do L&D work. L&D do not do HR work. So we have different goals, different targets, different everything. Right? And to be able to really build experiences that allow people to do their jobs better, the best strategy is the strategy that focuses, or that focus, oh God help me. The strategy that focus on the users. You should be, because I know, again, one of the things that have happened, and they call it intellectual masturbation, is where L&D professionals come into a room and we just talk about so many nice things to say. Oh, have you checked out ADI? Have you checked out backward design? Oh, have you done this? Nobody gives a hoot, right? The only strategy that matters is the strategy that focuses on the users. The strategy that helps the user to do their work better. The strategies that help your clients make sales. The learning strategy that helps your client's customer support team retain their customers. The strategy that helps your client's employees remain in the organization. That is the most effective digital learning strategy. A strategy that is user-focused. A strategy that is user-centric. Because when you focus on user-centricity, you program your mind to always think about how can I reduce the friction that a new hire experiences at work. When you think like that, you build an onboarding experience, not an onboarding program. Half of my team is on the call and they can corroborate on many of the things that I'm saying, because I've spent the last 6 months screaming about this. The users, your employees, your clients' employees, the people you are building this program for, the people using the program, not the people buying the program. Because when you deliver your work, you have to understand that your customers are in 2 levels. You have the buyers and you have the users. And it plays out in every organization. The line manager most of the time is the buyer. It's the person reaching out to you to do a training for their team. But the line manager is not the user. So if you build a training program based on what the buyer tells you, you are stuck with a program that only the buyer likes, but the user hates. And it becomes very ineffective. For the strategy, or for the digital learning strategy that is user-centric to work, you must remain clear on what you want to achieve. And then you carefully select the right digital tools to achieve it, rather than outsourcing it to vendors or a one-size-fits-all solution. When Dr. Lane was reading my profile, she mentioned something very unique that I always say. The strategy or the execution plan I used to execute many of my learning strategies are scattered across three things: content, people, and technology. When I have zoned in on the outcome that I want, I look for the best technology, I look for the best content source, and I look for the best people to help me bring that thing to life. I don't care if the best solution is a template or if it's a cheat sheet. The goal is, will this help you do your work better? If the answer is yes, I'm happy to deliver it. Now I'm going to share 4 steps to building or executing a strategy that is user-centric. The very first thing, or the very first step, is user discovery. And what do I mean by user discovery? You need to know your users. One of the things that I also do in my presentations and classes is I try to use images that will tell the story of what I mean. So when you see this creature, you already know what I mean. This is a guinea pig. And what do you use a guinea pig for? You use a guinea pig to really understand or test an hypothesis. You need to know your users. You need to study them. You need to, and to do that is, again, another mistake we make is you try to build a strategy and you try to build a strategy for the entire organization at once. It doesn't work that way. You're dealing with an organization with different kinds of people, different kinds of users who have different kinds of needs. The best way to work is to start small, select a small team, let them be your guinea pig, for lack of better words. And then say, with this small team, I'm going to test out this strategy. And if it works, I can scale it. I'm going to test out this execution plan. If it works, I can scale it. Do not make the mistake of trying to build one strategy for the entire organization. The way engineers love to learn is different from the way functional staffs love to learn. It's different from the way on-the-field guys love to learn. You cannot build one strategy and call it your digital learning strategy. You cannot pay for an LMS and say it is the LMS we will use to deliver every and any kind of training to everybody in the organization. One of the things that I have done in my current place of work is, for every time I try to test something out, I start with a small thing. I for the longest of time do not like the Agile methodology of instructional design because it's just too long. I would rather use product management principles to deliver learning experiences. Design it, know your users, create an MVP, go to market with it. The first set of users tell you, oh, this thing is not working well, or you come back to it, you update it again, you send it out again. That's how you build an experience. You are not hired to build trainings. You are not hired to create learning programs. You are not hired to satisfy users or learners with all their learning needs, kinesthetic. Nobody gives a hoot. That is not what the real world wants. You are hired to ensure that the software engineer knows what to do to deliver within the timeline that is required of him. And your biggest partner is the line manager of that engineer. So when we say discover your users, what I'm trying to say is you need to find out who they are, what they have been employed to do, what they are trying to achieve, where they are experiencing friction, or what we popularly call blockers, and how they loved to be reached and engaged. Remember, you say there's no key. I didn't say how they love to learn. It's how they love to be engaged. And while you are doing this, you also have to ask them what they think you think they need, or what they think, not what you think, rather, what they think they need at each point in terms of insights, tools, not necessarily training. Because somebody that is struggling with giving updates to his line manager do not need another training program. At best, he just needs you to give him a simple template that he can that the line manager likes, and then he can mimic that template and use it to deliver his updates. And he has moved past that problem. Or someone is struggling with sending the right emails, and the next thing is you've assigned that person a Udemy course. No. So you need to discover your users and understand. And this moves beyond focus meeting with the line manager. You have to also talk to the team that you're building the solution for, or you're building this experience for, because they are the users, not the line managers. The next thing is to, after you've discovered your users, you need to create initiatives. Keyword is initiatives, not intervention, not training, not programs, but initiatives. Because when your focus is on creating initiatives, you expand your mind to the kind of things that you can create. All right. I always say that you should aim to run sprints and not marathon. Your first job should not be to do a training needs analysis for the entire organization, and you spend the next 3 months waiting for them to answer your survey. And then before you now plan the next, that's a waste of time. Why not pick one team that you know, if I can deliver impact for this team, it will drive the noise of my brand, of my team so loud that every other department will start looking for me. One of those teams is the sales team. If you can help the sales team close their targets, believe me, your L&D department will not be a cost center anymore. Your L&D department will be the most talked about department in the organization, because the sales team will say, oh, this person, this team were with us for 3 months, helping us with resources, and that's why we could meet those goals. And then you don't need to demand for a seat at the table. You get a seat at the table. So don't think I must do a TNA for everybody. Do not think I must do one entire training for everybody. No, pick one team, understand what they need, then run sprints with them. And when you're running sprints, you are not necessarily creating courses. You are not necessarily creating trainings. You are creating resources that can help them do their jobs better. You are curating conversations. You are crafting challenges. Your job is to create experiences or resources that would allow people to just be better than they were, to help them move beyond what they are stuck at. That is why you have a job. So if you're an head of learning here, or you're a learning and development manager, this is how you should begin to think. Team leads would always come to you and say, we need training. You should be able to sit them down and say, okay, you need training. What have you realized is a gap? And how does this gap affect work? And then they begin to pour out, and you tell them, okay, what is your workflow like? Where have you noticed this gap in the workflow? What if we do this? Would this plug the gap? What if we bring somebody to talk to the team? Will this plug the gap? Because nobody wants to leave their job to go and learn, except they don't enjoy their job. Anybody that enjoys their job finds it very difficult to leave work and learn. So you have to find a way to infuse learning into their work. They call it learning in the workflow. Create resources, curate conversations, craft challenges. These are the initiatives that you should focus on doing. And sometimes the cost, the resources you need to create might be a cost. For instance, you want to teach policies. Again, I say this, that when you have to also, on this, but let me explain this. At the organization where I work, our internal strategy is to build performance support systems, leveraging L&D initiatives to enable our people do their best work. That is our strategy. However, how we execute that strategy differs. So for that strategy, we have three main objectives. We have organizational development, we have leadership development, and we have technical development. Those are the key objectives in our strategy. The execution model for organizational development is entirely different from the execution model for technical development, and is entirely different for the execution model of our leadership development. For instance, our organizational development are initiatives where we focus on organizational policies, regulatory trainings, those boring type of things that must happen because they need to happen, and you can do little or nothing to change how they are delivered. Most of the times they are delivered by the regulatory bodies, and so you just have to do it. When you are delivering those type of training programs, you have little or no control in how it is delivered, and you allow it flow. But when you are building technical development, everything I'm saying holds water in that. Because it is in technical development that your people gain the required skills to create, to deliver performance that drives business growth. It is not regulatory trainings or organizational policies or core value trainings that drive business growth. No. It is the technical depth of your team that determines how well they will perform. And then leadership development is also important because you need the right middle managers to convert strategy from senior management into tactics and executional plans that associates and every other person can run with. And so when you're building out your learning and development initiatives, leadership development initiatives, and technical development initiatives, everything I'm saying here holds water. All right, so always ask yourself, they need training, that's what they've said, but what do they truly need? So you discover users and then you create initiatives. And then when you are done creating initiatives, I wish I could say this. I'm sure if I ask us, let me ask this question. Let me see our responses. How many of you have ever created a program so beautifully designed and you make an announcement about it and maybe one or two people show up? Let me see your hands. Or just say something like that in the say I in the chat. How many of you have created programs? You used the best instructional design model, you did everything, but people started dropping off by module 1 or module 2, or people didn't even show up at all. If you've ever experienced that, please say I in the comments, or give me thumbs up, or okay, so I can see us, right? And that is because one of the skills that many learning and development professionals lack is the skill of marketing. We assume that when we build the program, because we have given it time to build the program, people will show up for the program. It is a lie. You need to think like, see, there are certain skills that you must develop as L&D professional that are not learning and development skills. I did a post on it a couple of months back. You need to learn how to write like a copywriter. You need to learn how to speak like a public speaker. You need to learn how to motivate. You need to learn how to encourage. You need to learn how to market and sell your ideas. These are not learning and development core skills. These are people skills. Because don't forget, whatever you are building for human beings. And if you do not relate with human beings like human beings, you can have the best program in the world and it could be perceived rightly, but it will deliver poorly. So the next thing to do after you have created the initiative that you think can deliver, run campaigns. There's something in marketing called go-to-market campaigns or go-to-market strategy. You need to have a go-to-my-users strategy. You need to go to your users and not wait for them to come. Because if you build an amazing course and you put it on the portal and say, oh, we have this beautiful course on the portal now, nobody will go there. You know why? They are busy at work. They have deadlines. They don't have 30 minutes or 1 hour to log into a portal and no, they don't have that time. You need to understand that they don't. The only time you should build courses and put them on a portal for people to go and do is when it is an organizational development initiative. So if it's a regulatory training that must be done, and you have to tender proof that this training happened in our organization when they come for audit, you put it on a portal, you tie their performance, their quarterly performance to it, scores to it, and you tell them you have this couple of days to do it. If you don't complete it before these days, you would see a drop in your performance. You have a -1 deduction in your performance scores. Everybody knows that you that you are setting itself, you that you created it, you know that let's just do it for righteousness' sake. But those are courses, or those are regulatory courses. It doesn't affect the bottom line. It's when you don't do them that it now affects the bottom line, because then you can get a fine or a challenge. They add little or nothing to the performance of your team. Right? So once you have, remember, when you are discovering your users, remember that the last thing there, let me go back. The last thing there is to what? Figure out how they love to be reached. So in your user discovery, you are taking data from surveys, from conversations, from focus group and all of those things. And then you are noting, okay, as engineers, it's like engineers like this time of the day. This is how they learn. You're figuring out how they like to be reached, how they like to be engaged. And then you now run a campaign by going there, going to them. So examples of campaign could be email with insights aligned to their work. So maybe engineers love to do a lot of stuff. I don't know. Let's assume that perhaps every engineer visits their Jira board. You can decide that, okay, let me take my training to their Jira board that they go to every day. And every day you put insights about the things that 3 ways you can do this better, 2 ways you can do this better, 1 important thing you must do to do this better. And as they visit their Jira board, they see it there. It's a task that they must do. And they click on the task, and in the comment section of that task that they must do is the learning content that they need to learn. They learn it and they move to the next task without having to go to any portal to learn. Campaigns. It could be notifications that nudge them to take action. It could be joining their stand-up meetings and just share valuable tips. But you can only do this when you are not thinking of, I want to make a course. I want to put everybody on a call. You can only think like this when you are interested in initiatives that reduce the friction and the blockers of their work. Because I tell you for free that when you do this consistently, you can measure impact. Because if you build a course as the only solution, all you will get are your training effectiveness metrics. How many started the course? How many completed the course? How many completed the tests? That's the best you will get. But when you create challenges or resources that push them a little better, they can always come back and tell you, that template you gave me, hey, it has made writing now. I can, just because of this script that you made for me, I have reduced my ticket time. I used to take 3 hours, I used to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to speak to a customer. Because of your script now, I can only do it, I do it in 1 minute. So it takes me one, and then you can ask questions. Oh, so it used to take you 1 hour before to complete 10 tickets. Now you're completing 10 tickets in 30 minutes. That is impact. You can report that. You can go to the line manager and say, I just did this for so and so person, and this is what he did for that person. I think we can scale this for every other person in the team. Let us stop thinking of training and courses. Maybe I should not use the word training. Let us stop thinking of e-learning courses alone. Let us stop thinking of all those type of things. Enough. Everybody creates a course today. But why do people spend time on YouTube and not on Udemy? Have you ever wondered why? It's because one is designed as a campaign. One comes to you. You get a notification that your favorite subscriber has done what? Uploaded a video. It comes to you. The other one, you have to go to the portal to learn. Let's think about these things. Run campaigns. Again, aim for experiences that addresses what the learner should do with the information or insights in the context of their role. Your goal is, what can I give you that is in line with what you're doing today, so that you can do your work better. And again, I must add that you necessarily might not get it right the first time. But the beauty is, if you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep asking questions and keep iterating, you will get what people call product market fit. You will get user how can I coin it? You get an initiative that is fit for that thing, and they appreciate you more for it. They will come to you more for it when they need help, because they know that you are going to help them and not just send them to go and take a course. All right. So what does this tell you? It means that you need to start thinking of your e-learning portals that you're subscribed to, whether it's Pluralsight or TileStack or Udemy or Coursera. You need to start thinking of it as a content source, not the training program. All right. You need to start thinking of it as a content source. So for us, we have content sources, we have people, and we have technology. And when it comes to technology, we have learning management systems, we have assessment tools, we have technologies that help us to drive our experiences. We have content sources that we take content from. We necessarily don't, the whole experience is not on Udemy or Coursera. Udemy or Coursera is part of our content source. Because when the program is built out, for instance, a typical example is our management program. Our management program runs for 4 months. It's actually one of our longest programs. But it is not just 4 months of online courses. No. It is an hybrid experience where some classes are self-paced, some classes are instructor-led live classes, some classes are peer-to-peer session where it is you and your colleagues, you join a call and you are discussing an assessment that must be submitted. And then another experience is conversations. We bring people that have done amazingly well, or maybe they just launched a new product, And then we bring the lead of that team to come talk to the new leaders, how you drove the team, how you worked with cross-functional teams to bring it to life. That is thinking beyond just, so it's an experience that incorporates various things. We have content from human beings. We have content from internal stakeholders. We have content from global external stakeholders. We have content from everywhere and anywhere. And then the program is built with our competency framework. So it is not just a generic leadership program. It is a leadership program that when you go through each module instills in you the competencies that our organization's leaders must display. And then you have take-home and practical assessments that compels you to practice what you have learned on the job. So you practice leadership and management, you just don't learn it, or you read it or listen to it. Because learning is in doing, learning is not in listening. Especially if you're an adult. You learn by doing, not by listening. Right? And then the final part of this strategy is measure impacts, because it is useless to have initiatives and not have impact. Initiatives, impact. Those are the two things I build my work on. Initiatives, impact. Initiatives, impact. You need to be able to show the impact of this initiative that you've created. If it was a conversation, what's the impact? If it was a challenge, maybe you did a 7-day design challenge, or a 20-day update challenge, or a 15-day read a quote challenge. You're trying to help the copywriters write well. Instead of giving them a course, okay, let's do a challenge. Let's do a 10-day storytelling challenge. Impact, initiative, impact, initiative, impact. But you cannot get impact if you have not even understood the business goal for what that initiative is driving. L&D professionals on the call, instead of seeking learning needs, seek business goals. I'll say it again. Instead of seeking learning needs, seek the business goals for that business unit. Instead of asking, what do your people want to learn? Ask, what do your team want to achieve? And then reverse engineer it to every single person that makes up that team. How do you do this? This is something we've been doing in the last couple of months. So we have 5 to 6 core questions. We ask anybody that reaches out to us and say, oh, my people need training. We either bring them on a live call, or we send them a survey with this question written. So these are the questions in concise form. But we write it in such a way that SS3 students can understand what we are asking for. And so we try to discover what the business unit goals for the quarter is. That's the very first question we ask after their name. What is your business unit goal? If you cannot articulate what the goal of your business unit is for the quarter or for the year, you should not even be the team lead. Because then it means that whatever I want to do for you holds no weight for me. So it's very rare that the team lead of that business unit or business vertical do not know what they are chasing. You know why? They have a line manager, and the line manager knows what he's looking for. So the way we help them is we say, if you cannot articulate it, go and ask your line manager, sir, at the end of this quarter, what will you grade my performance as a team leader? Because then as a manager now, your performance is not your performance. Your performance is what your team can deliver. So your line manager has expectations. Make those expectations become tangible, and that becomes the goal you chase per quarter. So sometimes some managers don't even know this, and they just run through quarters, and they're wondering why they're having 2 points in their performance review. So we ask them, what's the business unit goal for the quarter? What are the metrics that indicate success? So quick example, customer support. If the customer support business goal for the quarter is to improve their or reduce their issue resolution time from 10 minutes to 5 minutes, for instance. That is their goal, to answer customers faster, to deal with issues faster. That's the goal, right? What's the metric for that goal? What do you check? Okay, we check the timeline for issue resolution. And then we ask them, what's your desired figure for that metric? So the desired figure could be 5 minutes. Then we ask, what's the current figure? The current figure is 10 minutes. So 10 minutes serves as our baseline. 5 minutes serves as our goal as the L&D team. And then we now ask, what are the key activities that your people do every day that helps you to deliver, that you think if they do well, can move issue resolution from 10 minutes to 5 minutes? That is what we focus on. So everything we are building, whether it's a resource, a template, a cheat sheet, a script, whatever it is we are doing, we're focusing on those key activities. Because when we do that for 3 months, you can report to your line manager that, oh, sir, or oh, ma, we have reduced issue resolution from 10 minutes to 5 minutes. And then you can come to us and L&D can take credit. As I report at the end of the year and say, we partnered with the customer support team to reduce issue resolution time from 10 minutes to 5 minutes. That's impact. L&D you don't report amount of courses. If you're still reporting, we did 30 courses this year, or we did 25 courses this year, and 20 of them rated us 5, you are still joking. You will never have a seat at the executive table because you are not speaking the language that matters. But if you're doing your report, and in your report they say we partnered with the sales team and we moved revenue in 6 months from $1 million to $1.5 million. Okay, now you're talking. We partnered with the customer support team and we increased helped them to increase CSAT score from 3 to 3.5. You don't see, as long as it moves from the baseline to something else, that is impact. Then they begin to think, okay, these guys are really doing these things well. Okay, let's bring them into the planning for the year meeting so that they can now at a glance see everybody's goal and then work with those business leaders to bring it to life. That is learning strategy. That's how you execute. Again, what is the strategy? There's no right or wrong strategy, right? Strategy is not right or wrong. Strategy is only right if it works for you. If the strategy doesn't work for you, then it is the wrong strategy. If the strategy works for you, it is what? The right strategy. This is how to think. So that even when you speak in public or they invite you to conversations and you talk, your word holds more weight because you're not speaking, you're not engaging in intellectual masturbation with every other person and raving about the latest tool. No, you're speaking business. This is one of the secrets I have, that when I open my mouth to speak about learning and development, I sound a bit different from every other person. Because I'm thinking commercial, I'm thinking business. I'm not thinking learning experience. I'm thinking work experience. I'm thinking business success. Because that is what matters in the long run, not the fanciness of your slides. All right? You should aim to implement only the initiatives that drive the metrics of success. I think my team now will understand what I've been shouting about, because most of them are on the call. I'm sure they'll be understanding why this guy has been going at us for the last 3 months. Right? We need to shift from we need a course to we need an outcome. Because truly, the L&D function do not matter if all we do is create training programs. It do not matter. We need to start thinking we need impact, we need outcomes, not courses. We need outcomes, right? Let me think that before this is what we do, or this is what many of us currently do. Training need lands on your decks. You've even done your proper gap analysis. You've done all the necessary assessments. The next thing your mind is thinking of as an initiative is, we need a course. So what do? You reach out to a stakeholder or SME and you agree on what the content looks like. Then the next thing is you build the e-learning. You go and use Articulate 360 to create something. Or you build out the lesson plans and then you deploy. This is what we currently do. I used to do this. I still do this sometimes. Because like I said, many of the things I'm sharing today are things that I've experienced, things that I've practiced, and things that I'm still practicing. And again, this is what you can do sometimes, especially if it is regulatory. And you need to show proof that there was a training. Because you cannot show proof to a body that what you did was you had a conversation. No, they will seize your license. So it's not like this is bad entirely. It's just that this cannot deliver on business outcomes. But it can satisfy certain stakeholders. But this is what we need to start doing. We need to start saying, these guys that they say they need to build training for, because every request will always come as, we need training. So it's fine. You cannot change that. That is how they see your department. I was speaking to somebody a couple of days ago, and the person said, L&D, all they do is training. I mean, I can, it's not hard now. L&D, I don't need to have 5 years experience. I can be in L&D. Shebi is to do training, is to speak. If you are foreign, Shebi is a local dialect. So, right. So for them, it's like, it's training. We don't need men. I can do it. But that's not true. We are not hired to do trainings. We are hired to support performance. That is why when the team is not performing, they come to learning and development for what? A performance improvement plan. When a team lead wants to make his team better, he comes to L&D for what? An individual development plan. It always ends up at L&D's decks. So that should give an hint that our job is not training. Our job is performance support. Just like customer support job is to support the customers. Our job is to support human and business performance. So what do I encourage us to start doing today? While you are done with your analysis with the team lead, go to the people that the training is for and ask questions. Sometimes you may not be able to get all of them on a call, but you can use the team lead to use his veto power to ask them to fill a survey. And sometimes you think surveys are boring and are not useful. But if you ask the right question and make it easy for them to answer, where they don't really have to type, but they just maybe need to rate or pick or choose. But you framed the question and the options in a way that if they choose an option, you can make a decision from it. But you must analyze the audience. You must ask the team lead, how do your people work? What is the day-to-day flow of the analyst? What is the day-to-day flow of the information security officer? If this person needs help, what does he have to do every day? What is required of him every day? How does he work? What tools does he use, right? You need to ask those questions. And then you take the audience analysis and then you sit with possibly the team lead who might be a subject matter expert or an external subject matter expert. And then you now analyze and say, these are the problems I've discovered. These are the concerns. These are the challenges. As an expert, in your experience, how would you do this if you were this person's shoes? I can guarantee you that they will never tell you go and give the person a course. They will tell you an act that they've used. You take that act and you build it into a resource. And if it's not a arc, if it is something else, then you build an experience. And in building that experience, you move beyond just creating a course in a linear perspective, in a linear way. But you say, I want this guy to experience this. So this could be an on-the-job training. So I could give him content where he goes, he visits a certain Google Drive, for instance, or even goes on a portal and learns something for just 5 minutes. Or I send him that video. Remember campaign, you have to bring it to them. If he doesn't want to go to the portal, okay, maybe I can send it to him. He watches it, and then at the end of that video, there's an instruction for him to practice. You build an experience. Most of the time, the experience should be on the job. It should be tied to their work. You learn how to write by writing better, by writing more well. You don't learn how to write by reading alone. You learn how to write by writing. You learn how to speak by speaking. You learn how to sleep by sleeping. Adults learn by doing. So why do we think that for them to learn a skill, it is by sitting down to listen all through? Where did that concept come from? Right? So irrespective of what you build, whether it's a resource or an experience, you deploy. This is what we should start doing. And again, you don't have to do this for the entire organization at once. You just have to do it for a team. You have to look at your entire organizational structure and say, which team can I start this with that is willing, that is small enough, but when they achieve something, their impact can be felt. Let me start with them. Let me experiment with them. And that's how you scale your digital learning strategy. You start with someone or a team. You iterate, you work with them, you co-create, you do all of those things. When it works, they become your promoters. And then you do with another team, and then another team, and then another team. And before you know it, you've done it for the entire organization. Let me say this to us. People underestimate what they can. People overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 5 years. I'll say it again. People overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 5 years. And you can scale down that. People overestimate what they can do with one program and underestimate what they can do with 5 experiences or 5 resources. You don't have to deliver the entire program in 2 weeks. You can deliver it in 2 months. Give content, practice. And that's why I love project-based learning. Call it whatever name, whether it's Gardner's 9 levels of instruction or Dr. Mary's first principles of instruction. Anything that allows the learner to activate the current knowledge they have, because they're adults, they're not kids. So you have to use andragogies, not pedagogies. You have to come into the program, or you have to approach them expecting that they know, not approaching them expecting that they don't know. Those are pedagogy strategies or execution methodologies. You don't approach adult learning with the mindset that they don't know anything. You are going to struggle from day one. So you have to activate what they already know concerning it. It could be as simple as, oh, I want to learn how to write copies. Oh, but you write very good emails. Yes. Okay. The way you write your emails, you can transfer that same skill to learn how to write marketing copies. If you have 1, 2, 3 things, you are taking what they already know, you're building on it. So anything, any resource, any experience that will force them to activate what they currently know and take those transferable skills, and then you demonstrate what they need to do, and then give them an opportunity to apply what you've demonstrated for them to do by themselves, and then give them a way to show them how they can integrate it into work. You've built an experience. Because now you've activated their knowledge, you've demonstrated what you want them to learn, you've given them an opportunity to practice, you've observed that in their practicing, there's still a knowledge gap, you demonstrate again, you give them an opportunity to practice, you say that, okay, now they've gotten this knowledge part, this skill, you demonstrate the skill again. Learning is not linear. It is like this. We did our first cohort of our management program. It's been 6 months or 5 months now. We are going back to ask their subordinates, for lack of better words, these managerial competencies that they are supposed to have in the last 6 months, have they displayed it? If they tell us no, we'll call all of them again into a room and say, guys, we did a feedback and this is what we got. Per team, here is a resource that can help you practice again. All right, so training doesn't end. You keep doing it. You keep helping that person, and that person is indebted to you. All right. I feel like, because I've been watching the time, yeah. How many minutes do I have left? All right, I'm on the 1 hour mark. So I think that's pretty much all. Thank you guys for having me. Is there any other thing? Yeah, questions. So if you have questions, please share with me.
Amazing. So let me answer your question about how much time you have first. You have -3 minutes.
All right.
Which means you've gone beyond your time, but trust me, I don't want you to stop, even though you've gone beyond one hour. And I'm sure people here can testify that it's been really, really value packed. It's been amazing. You know, I take a boot camp in learning design, and there's so many things that you have talked about today that are just very much the same as what I teach my students. You know, talking about learning principles, learning theories, andragogy, the way adults learn, experiential learning. They want to act, they want to do. They don't want you to just talk at them, and they want to be able to practice and, you know, align what they've learned with what they know already. It's really great. You've said so many things about impact. You know, there's something we also do, which is, I know you said you don't really like ADDIE, but ADDIE is like the basic basic theory that you start with for anyone starting. If you can get ADDIE right, then you can now start thinking of prototyping, rapid prototyping and iterations and all that. So, you know, at the evaluation level, there's something we call data storytelling, which you emphasized greatly on. You want to talk about your impact with data. Yep. You move from 20% to 50%. When you're talking about your learning initiatives, you're talking about the number of courses you've created, the number of modules, how many people you trained. You won't get a seat at the table, like you said. You need to be consultative when they come to you and say, we have a training request. Before you just collect their slides and transform it to e-learning, you want to, you know, use models like action mapping to sit them down to really understand what is the problem. You know, there's so much that you have said today that's so amazing. Does anyone have a question? Okay, absolutely, Alexandra. Alexandra said this was like taking a shot to cure training and cause creation fatigue. Like, this is like a short course.
Thank you so much.
Delivered. It's nice. so amazing. And I'll encourage everyone here to listen to this again and watch the replay, because it's been so amazing. I know we've really gone beyond our time, but if we have 1 or 2 questions, we can take 1 or 2 questions. Obviously, great job, great information. Thanks. Yeah, great. Absolutely.
Thank you.
We can take 1 or 2 questions.
Thank you, Alexander.
1 or 2 questions.
I think I saw a question that said, okay, I think it was Alexandra. Please, could you suggest an example of an organizational development course? So maybe I might not be using the term that everybody knows, but for us, organizational development is, for us internally, is what are the things that we need to do for every company staff that demonstrates to the world that this person is a staff of our company.
Okay, compliance trainings, I guess.
Yeah, so compliance training, regulatory trainings, policy trainings, onboarding, company knowledge, product knowledge, all of those things. Those are literally what we call our organizational development programs or initiatives. And so we run them per quarter because everybody in the organization must do it.
Yeah. So Olama has a question. We'll take that and then we'll wrap up.
Okay.
Olaba, you can unmute yourself and speak, Olama.
Okay. Hi, Gabriel. Wow,
Hi.
it's been amazing. As in, I can't even say how awesome this session has been. I've been typing
Thank
comments
you.
from everything you shared. Thank you so
I'm glad.
much. I read a lot about you on LinkedIn, and this is just snippet, I would say, to everything you represent. Well done. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
so my question is this, because I mean I could identify hugely in so many things you shared. It's on balancing. So you made mention of leadership development initiative and the technical development initiative, and the fact that until you go technical, the leadership just seems to be like the overall. It's the leadership may not just necessarily be the core. If I got you correctly, right? Technical seems to take the huger preference as regards either you said leadership or the organizational initiatives. So my question
Mm,
is, when you are dealing with an organization that requires reformation, requires transformation, requires restructuring, whereby
mm,
the leadership initiative is going to be the basic, because even
Mm.
though you intend to go in depth to take up a technical initiative, if you have not fully handled the leadership initiative, whatever you're going to do for the team members, who, of course, the line managers, who are the leaders, are going to train, will not be able to do their best. How do you create that balance? How do you enable the managers to act in their role in the capacity that they would train the team members to do better technically?
mm.
It's a balance, as in I'm just trying to ensure that one is not overshadowing the
They're
other.
doing the order.
Technical, you miss out on leadership, because sometimes you find organizations where both are missing at the same level.
Mm. Again, I might not have all the answers, but I think I can share from my wealth of experience. So the way to do that is to is to run both programs simultaneously. So let me explain what I mean. If you are trying to, depending on who comes to you, most of the time it's the manager that will come to you and say, oh, we're struggling with this or we're struggling with that and we need your help. Once the manager tells you that they need your help, you want to approach like what Oyin said. You want to approach the conversation as a consultant and ask questions. And then in asking your questions, you can discover that even the leader has certain gaps. And what you do is you don't necessarily point out to the leader that you have certain gaps. You build or curate an initiative side by side. So a simple example could be you're talking to the manager of the sales team, and then you begin to ask questions like, what is the sales targets? What are your OKRs? What are your objectives and key results? And the guy is like, all these things you're asking, I don't know. Sometimes you would sit with the manager and say, okay, I can't help your team yet, but let us build this thing together. So if you don't have an OKR, your guys cannot deliver because they don't know what the key results are. So let's work first to help you build an OKR. And you hold the person's hand side by side. And then when you're done with the manager and he sees results, you can now say, now that we have these key results, this is what we use to now help the team. So it is taking a step backward to work with the manager first, one manager at a time, one See, when you are building anything that is user-centric, it is one user at a time. You know that if product designers are building or they are doing their market research, they can talk to 5,000 customers, but they are seeking a customer fit. They're looking for one customer that embodies what their product would deliver, which is why they create things. Thank you, a persona, which is why they create a customer avatar and say our customer is a person that looks like this, that does this. It is one person. So you start with one manager and then the manager's team, and then that manager gives you data that you use to tell the story. Another manager comes and you keep working like that, and you realize that in 6 months you might have worked with 3 managers and 3 teams. And managers by themselves to tell themselves that, there's this person just taught me how to do OKR. I think you should meet that person too. Let him teach you how to do it. Because just setting this thing alone has helped my team to achieve this. I hope I was able to answer your question a bit.
You did. I mean, it's something I've already started. I just needed to be sure I was on track.
So that's it.
I think you're spot on, actually. I mean, after you've identified all the problems, you need to arrange them in order of priority, and you start with, the most urgent of them all. Great.
Yeah.
We've really gone 14 minutes past that time.
Right.
It's been great. I honestly don't want to stop, but we have to. I'm sure people have been working all day, and it's time to. Yes. I know even though people are tired, people are not dropping off because they are really, really enjoying this chat. So it looks like we're going to need to have you another time, maybe for something more. Maybe for something more. More structured than this, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Happy to share.
Girl, I'm really, I'm grateful that you answered the call and you've delivered great value. It's really, really amazing. I like the fact that the African touch is in it, because most of the people here are African, not just from the Western world. Most of the people that we've had on this call have experience from Western world, and the examples are not really related to what most of the audience are going through.
Go through every day.
That's one thing that made this a big difference. I really appreciate that. And please correction, I'm not a doctor. A lot of times when I say doctor, I actually
just take it. I'm giving it to you like that. So
okay. PhD on the horizon, but not yet. So Alexandra is saying, thank you so much. This really energized me and gave me a fresh paradigm. Awesome. Thank you so much. I don't know how to end this meeting. I'll just play music now. Ask everybody to show some love in the chat with the reactions, and then we close the meeting. So everybody have a great evening, and then hope to see you in our next webinar. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.